You're in Braves country.
Well, the season's finally here, and the players...
Hey, football fans, you ready for the gridiron? Thursday and Friday mornings, the Armchair Quarterback Show returns, 9 a.m. Eastern. We'll be talking college and NFL football, the point spreads, fantasy football advice, and more. Want to catch it live? Become a Country Club member today here on Braves Country Radio. We'll make the replay available to the public later on that day, as we're being broadcasted nationwide on independent radio stations. As a member catching it live, you can ask your questions. We'll answer all. Point spread advice, player props, your fantasy football questions. It's the Armchair Quarterback Show, Thursday and Friday mornings this fall here on Braves Country Radio.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man.
You're in Braves country.
Good morning, Vietnam. Well, the Braves finally lost a game. That's the big bullet points that we have for today's show. Won 10 in a row. It's a heck of a run. We'll get into that here in 1 second. We've got the final, such a sad time, final series for the Braves. And I know that it's been a rough, long season. I get that. But at the same token, it's going to suck when they're not playing. It just is. It does not matter however long. And I'm having issues with the sound check. Hopefully we're good in the sound check area. But the Braves are going to go into a 3-game series starting on Friday. We're doing this today because we got a little different thing going on as far as the my schedule going on this week. For those of y'all who were following, and I did get a sound check, so we are down good. We have the most, I don't know if you want to call it ghetto or trailer park sound check there is, but when I don't have someone else to do it for me, I have to do it for myself. There's only one way for me to know how to do it that quickly. So, back to the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey used to say. I've got something on my plate tomorrow that's going to make it very tough for me to do the show. And I don't know if I'm going to be back in time to do the game. I do know I'm going to get the feed fired up regardless. So we're going to at least have the chat. I just don't know how it's going to play out. Some of the folks who can't get together for the funeral next weekend that we're going to, we are meeting up and celebrating that way. And I won't get into the whole thing, but I did lose a very, very close friend to me. Friend for one of my best friends for over 30 years. He was, well, the police are investigating and they do know who did it, but we'll just leave it at that. He was unalived, as they say. So that's going to be a tough day for me regardless. I'm going to try to get back here for the ball game. If I don't, we will have the cast up because I don't want to leave y'all hanging with it's the last weekend of the season. And we'll just see how it goes. I'll definitely be in the chat regardless wherever I am. I just don't know the ins and outs. I didn't get a straight answer. I didn't want to press them, if it makes sense. I didn't want to press them. Well, what time is this going to be over? So just going to play it by ear. Jason's going to get it fired up for me, and I'll be able to control it from where I'm at regardless. But I will be back by Saturday's game. That is a given. Sunday's game, all that's a go. I just don't know about tomorrow, so we're doing the show today. That's the short of it. So, with that being said, hopefully y'all still tune in and hang out with each other because this has become like a family to us. It's a family extension, or at least it has to me, and I've seen some people say the same thing. Tomorrow it's Wentz versus Keller. I didn't even realize. I guess I'm dodging a bullet there, but if I can't get back, it's Wentz versus Keller Friday night, and Pittsburgh has nothing to play for either. So we do get Strider versus Bubba Chandler on Saturday. That to me is fun, and I'll tell you why. If you don't follow Pittsburgh baseball, I get it. Bubba Chandler is one of their better young arms. And he started, when he first came up late this summer, he was being used as a swingman out of the bullpen. In bullpen games, he would come in and spell the last 3 innings or whatever. Now he's getting a chance to start. I want to see this kid pitch. I've not got a chance to see him pitch on the major league level because every time he has pitched, the Braves have been playing. So I'll see it in the background, but I'm not, I just don't lock into that kind of stuff. I'm really just checking scores when I have games on in the background. So I'm very excited to watch that game. Even though I know there's a lot of college football big games on Saturday night. To me, as a baseball purist, I can't wait to see this Bubba Chandler pitch, and I want to see Spencer Strider finish the season on a good note. Same thing on Sunday. Burrows is on the mound for the Pirates, and he's had some good games, and he'll be going up against Chris Sale. I'm so glad that Chris Sale is actually going to pitch again this year. I thought they might shut him down. I really did. I thought there was an outside. Now, I don't know if he'll go the full 9, so as far as betting on him, any kind of stuff like that y'all are thinking about doing, I would tread lightly. Their number is going to be inflated, and they probably won't have them go a full distance because it is the last game of the season, and the last thing you want to do is have him or Strider, or even Wentz for that matter. The last thing you want to do is have them go out there and have any kind, even if it's a minor injury, and then have to deal with that going into the offseason. So they're the 2 night games, Friday and Saturday night, and the Sunday game. So this game Sunday, all of these games are starting right at I want to say some are saying 3:05, but anyways, the Braves are doing 3:15. They all have to start at the 3 o'clock hour. That was designed by Major League Baseball several years ago. I think one of the things is because at the time they were putting it on ESPN. I mean, this has been going on for a couple of decades, I believe. But they do this so that at the end of the season, the final game of the season, the teams playing at 1 o'clock or 1:30, their results are not in when the teams at 4:30 play. And the reason why they did that was there was an incident, a couple of them in the late 80s, early 90s, where teams were affected by other teams benching guys because they already – so I'll give you an example. Let's say it's a team out west, and they just clinched the division last night, but it's neither here nor there. Let's say Seattle needed their magic number was 1 going into Sunday playing the Dodgers. And the team that's chasing them, we'll use Houston, loses in that first game. Seattle would then bench their best players, especially their starting pitchers. And let's say the Dodgers needed to win that game to win the NL West. That screws the Padres, and that's why they did it. I like it. I just don't like the time. I really think they should push it back. I really think they should go to 4 p.m. Eastern. Maybe even 4:30. You still get it over with by 7:30. But I would go with 4:15, 4 p.m. Eastern, somewhere in that neighborhood. Because you get the game, and people consider say, I hate football sucks, blah, blah, blah. Well, whatever. Your head's in the sand, you're an ostrich, because you don't understand that the American people watch the hell out of it. The National Football League is king, and the 4:25 kickoff is the number one sought-after window in all of television sports. So what I'm saying is, if you get it going at 4 p.m., okay, even 4:05, you're going and you're getting all these games going at once, you're much more likely to get your average sports fan who likes all sports to stay with the baseball during that 4:25 kickoff. When you do it at 3 o'clock, you're asking that the average sports fan who watches football and baseball to leave the third or fourth quarter of their football game to start to watch the beginning of the baseball game. And when they don't do that, and they won't do that, they never have, they never will, then they forget to go over there after the games conclude because they're getting commercials going, stay tuned for Ravens versus Chiefs. So I'm just telling you that's what I would do. They're not doing that, but they have routinely had their heads square up their rear end with this kind of thing. We'll get into that 1 second, Justin. I'll get all your comments and questions here in a second. I wanted to get a couple things off and going. All right, let's hit let me see what I got my bookmarks on because that's how I do this. The Braves rotation this weekend. We just went through that. Charlie Morton is not starting. I do believe Charlie Morton is going to get a relief appearance. There's no way to gauge when that's going to be. I think what they would like to do is wait till either Saturday night when they have the biggest audience or Sunday, the final game of the season. And how cool of it would be to see Charlie Morton piggyback Chris Sale as he ends his career. I think it's more likely that we see him on Friday or Saturday. I just don't think if I'm running the show, I don't do it on Friday because I want you to keep dangling that carrot to the fans. I might do it on Saturday because it makes a lot of sense because Spencer Strider hasn't been going very deep in games. But I'm doing it either Saturday or Sunday when you get the biggest. We'll get the biggest ovation. So that's my take on that. I think the smartest thing to do it on Sunday because let's be honest, we're all going to be locked into the game. But do you really realize what goes on about 15 minutes after first pitch on Saturday night? Braves versus Pirates. It's Bulldogs versus Bama. And that's two of our biggest fan bases in all of the sport. A lot of Braves fans like one of those teams. They didn't graduate from there. They didn't go there. Probably can't find it on the map. But they love to go woo woo or roll tide on Saturday evenings in the fall. And fair enough. That's just the way the Southern culture is. Can't tell you how many times I had to explain people when I lived up north, why the hell do y'all watch college football? None of those people are going to the universities. Like, man, you understand we didn't have an NFL team for years. And though we tried to say they weren't professional, they were professional. You think Bama athletes and Georgia athletes and Florida and et cetera, weren't getting paid under the table? Hell, a lot of them almost lost their programs because of it. But anyways, that's going to be the Saturday night game. That's why I say if you want to get the biggest eyeballs on it, it would be Sunday afternoon. Because by the time the Braves would put Charlie Morton into the game, the Falcons football game would be over. And I know there's going to be other games going on, but I'm just saying logistically. You can't totally dodge football if you're baseball because you play into October and it just is what it is. But that's how I would do it. I did want to go over one quick thing. There was a quote by Hurston Waldrop after his last outing of the season. He said, quote, "I'm excited. I'm exactly where I need to be, no more, no less. I won't really be able to reflect on anything until I get home and kind of sit in the woods for a while or go sit on a tractor for a couple of hours and really decompress." And you like to hear that. You know, he's still, look, he's a South Georgia boy. The one thing I would hope is that he's not doing any kind of hard manual labor with those hands. And if he is, my God, put the right gloves on. So we don't need you ripping some tendon in your finger because you're out there screwing around on a tractor in the fall. And though that may sound cool and romantic to everybody, this guy has a huge future, and he goes out and screws his hands up. Katie barred the door. He's going to Plaxico Burress himself. If you know, you know. Other things. This was really strange. So this is right before the streak ended. This was going into the 10th game. And this was something that had never happened before. And I will say this. There were a lot of plays that could have been called errors that we got home cooking on the scorecard. But regardless, listen to this. Going into game 10 of the 10-game winning streak, so 9 games in, over their last 9 games, the Atlanta Braves have not committed an error. They had not scored fewer than 5 runs or allowed more than 5 runs, which obviously is going to equate into wins. No other team in Major League Baseball history had ever done that over a 9-game span. And that may not sound like a lot, but when you say no other team in Major League Baseball history had ever done something positive for a long stretch, they've been playing this game. Major Leagues, National League started in 1876. The Braves started a few years before that, 1871. They don't typically transfer the NA over into the National League, which is now the Major Leagues. But nobody? Because though it's kind of an impressive stats, it doesn't seem to be that crazy that someone couldn't have done this before. But nobody, since they started playing, he doesn't specify, but at least since 1876, had ever not committed an error, had scored 5, had not given up more than 5 in 9 consecutive games. Man, that's something. You think of some of these all-time streaks that happened over the years, you would think somebody would have stumbled into that in the middle of that, a 9-game span. Let me see. We went over the Michael Harris thing during the game yesterday, but he had going into those 2 home runs that he hit the other night, he had gone 98 at bats without a home run. Joel Pyomps, I don't think I ever really got to really do a deep dive on him, but we added him to the roster. We can bring him back next year. Pyomps, I'm going to be excited to see him pitch this weekend. He at one point was supposed to be the Brewers closer. Now, we got a sneak peek of him this week, but I want to see him at least one more time. It'll be interesting to see if we get Alexis Diaz one more time. He's currently on the minor league roster, but they can bring him up. That is a very interesting thing. You look at the scheduled pitchers, and I just hit some button, so there we go. But if you look at the scheduled pitchers on this, the Braves this weekend, it looks like they're going to a platoon system with this Wisely and Nick Allen. I would hope the final day of the season that they start Nick Allen. I think he deserves it. He didn't do anything offensively for us, and I get that. But, man, Nick Allen is a hell of a glove. And he would have won the Gold Glove had he not gotten cut short with all these benches the last 3-4 weeks. When they brought Kim on, it was over, right? But before that, man, that guy is phenomenal. And I'd rather see him play second defensively. Wisely's okay, but I went back and looked at his numbers. It seems in the video, he just doesn't stand out, and he's not much of a bat, so why not let Nick Allen flash the glove? If you need a pinch hit late in the game, I get it. bring him in. But let Nick Allen get at least one start this weekend. That would be my hope. Ozzie Albies, we haven't really talked about it much, but he is officially on the 10-day IL and done for the season. It's a fractured left hamate bone in his wrist, and so they believe he'll be ready with plenty of time. But that's what you got there. You look at some of the guys that are on the Braves roster, and I'm going to go to the 40-man roster because they move some of them back and forth every day because of the expanded rosters. This could be it's not everyone gets focused on the starting pitching. This could be an outstanding bullpen, and we haven't even added anything. They're going to add stuff this offseason, y'all. This is not going to be another offseason like we just went through. This is not going to be an offseason that you go, man, we haven't signed anybody. And then at the very end, remember they signed Jerks and Profar, and then, of course, he gets busted for roids. And I felt like at that point, looking back on it, that was the season. That was it. So we were already on, I believe that news broke right before we went to the Dodgers. I believe we'd put 4 games in the books. We were already on a 4-game losing streak. We get this devastating news that he's out for 80 games. They're scrambling. We're at the Dodgers. And if you remember in those first 7 games, there were a few games that we could have won, and the hitting just wasn't there. We came home, cleaned it up a little bit, but we lost our first 8 road games of 2025. We never recovered. So whether it's Snicker, although I do believe he's stepping down, or it's whoever the new manager is, I hope somebody reaches out to everybody and goes, don't anybody put anything in your behind during the offseason. We got to be ready to roll. Do not be shooting up anything. Do not be taking pills and just tell me, oh, well, I didn't know what was in it. Shut it. Go to the offseason, rest up, then start working out. They'll usually start working around December, early January. Get in shape, but do it the right way. And everything you take, go through your team physicians and make sure it's not on some kind of banned list. That's what they're there for. And if you take something and they say it was illegal, but you were told it was fine, then it's on them. But that's what they're there for. Everything you take. And I don't know what Jerickson Profar did. Supposedly, whatever he took, it was during the offseason. Now, the pessimist is going to say, whatever, dude. He roided up so he could hit, was it 24 home runs last year so he could get the contract? But in 80 games, with an 80-game suspension, Jerickson Profar has put up pretty good numbers. And we're assuming he's not taking whatever the hell he was taking because he would have passed. Once you fail the drug test, you're getting popped constantly. He's at 14 right now with 307 at-bats. Last year, he had 24 through 564 at-bats. His batting average was a little better last year, but then again, he had a full year and he didn't have that huge gap. I'm sure that had something to do with it. But his OPS is right there. I mean, it is very comparable. His OPS was 839 last year. It's 810 this year. So I've got nothing on that. All I can say is Profar did something really stupid during the offseason. He didn't know, or he did. But he has come back and he has looked like a very good player. The player they thought that they had signed. He can be questionable in the outfield, but man, he makes some great plays too. So The Drake, that's the next thing that we're going to be looking at for this weekend. We're looking for him to get Rookie of the Year. And I think one of the things that could help Drake Baldwin, if you look at his overall numbers, and thankfully no one's going to look at his defense because his defense is terrible. Last time I looked it up, he's thrown out around 10, 11% of the runners running on him, and that is god-awful. You usually want a guy bare minimum around 20%. But we'll get into the offseason and how they're going to address all those issues. But right now, he's sitting one home run away from 20, one RBI away from 80. These are good round numbers to hit. He's 3 walks away from 40. He could definitely get that. And his batting average is 274. If he gets a little hot over the weekend, he could get to 280, but I'd even like to see if he could just finish above 275. His OPS, be paying attention to this all weekend, it's 805. If he can keep that above 800 and get a home run and get an RBI, obviously he gets the RBI if he gets the home run, I don't know how you don't vote him in. He's been doing it all year long. Horton came up out of the blue, and he did it well for a long time. But at the same time, this is an everyday player. And if we've got a Cy Young and an MVP, why don't we not have an NL Rookie of the Year for both pitching and everyday players? That's overdue. What the hell are they doing? It may or may not be good for Drake John, because if he doesn't pitch the rest of the year, then he's got the numbers that he's got. And there's no – I think it's better, honestly, if he pitches again and gets blown up. Because right now Horton's got really good numbers. And voters are not going to care. You know what the voters are going to look at? Well, his team made the playoffs. That's going to be the pushback. I still think Drake – definitely deserves it, but that's going to be the pushback. We went over the Charlie Morton thing, see if anybody else has any other, for some reason, Tree Nug misses New York bars. I don't know, that came out of nowhere. Good to see you, Tree Nug. I do know what you mean, though. I'm assuming that you're talking about New York City. I lived in New York City for a while, and it's cool to have a bar on any corner that you pass as you're heading to the train. But nothing beats a bar in the South. I'm talking about a true bar, a dive bar. Nothing beats that. I've spent some of my best and worst moments in places like that. So we won't get into that. Not on this show. Some of the guys. So Chucky Robinson was picked up from the minor leagues. I don't know what to make of this guy. Catcher. He's 30 years old. He'll be 31 in the offseason. Terrible numbers. I'm not sure why they picked him up. If they're able to keep him in the minor leagues, maybe they're just trying to grab people that they hope they can put on the Rule 5 and hope that you pick them and not somebody else. There's always that game that goes on at the end of the season too. Other than that, other things to look at for this weekend. Look, I know it's not Braves related-ish, but this is going to be a wild weekend, a wild finish in Major League Baseball. Sunday, we're going to be doing the game. We're going to be doing the multicast once again. I think we'll do it better this time. Had a lot of fun, but it made it wore my voice out. In fact, it's starting to crack right now. But I'll be off the air soon. I don't have anything talking-wise to do the rest of the day. Looking at where they're at. So this is insane as far as the Blue Jays and the Yankees. You go to the AL East, they're in a flat-footed tie. Now, I'm pretty sure that Toronto has the tiebreaker, but they've got the weekend to play, and they are knotted up. I guess they both have 4 games to play, and they are knotted up. Red Sox are 3 back. Cleveland is now a game in front of the Tigers, if you missed that last night. The Mariners have punched their ticket. They own the AL West. Milwaukee owns the NL West. Philly owns the NL East. But those are the only ones that are sewn up as far as divisions. As far as the wild card, that's what I thought, John. I just haven't had time. You can imagine what my schedule's been like. Thank you for confirming that. The Cubs have all but they're going to get the number 4 seed in the National League. How much of a fight do they give the Mets tonight? They are playing the Mets again tonight. So if you're looking for non-football to watch, there's some good baseball matchups. We'll get into that right before we get off here. The Mets have a 1-game lead over the Diamondbacks and the Reds. Now, the Mets had the tiebreaker on the Diamondbacks. The Reds had the tiebreaker on the Mets. I have not looked into, but I am going to look into it by the time we get to if it's still relevant. What happens if the three of them end up tied? Remember, they went through the same thing last year. The only difference was it wasn't the Reds, it was the Braves. It was Diamondbacks, Mets, and Braves, and we had to do a doubleheader on Monday. I was telling my wife, I said it is a year ago this Monday that fake jumper got up on the bridge and made me about 2 hours late for my broadcast as I was trying to rush home going over the damn bridge. I'd still push him off. All right. When we get to that, we'll have a definitive. But you're talking about Diamondbacks and Reds. We are big fans of them this weekend. The Mets are at the Cubs, and then they go to the Marlins. Did you see? I meant to mention it last night, and I've got sidetracked. Did you see that the Marlins pushed back Sandy Alcantara to face the Mets? You gotta love it. You gotta love it. So, the Mets are going to have to face the Marlins in Miami. I don't think that hurricane's going to hit the Miami area. There's a hurricane coming through the Gulf, or not the Gulf, the Atlantic Ocean. Everything that I've seen so far, it's not going to push in until late weekend, early next week, so like Sunday to Tuesday type of thing. And everything I've seen, I haven't got a chance to look at the weather guy today, but what he was saying yesterday is it looked like at the most it's going to curve up and maybe clip the Carolinas. So hopefully that does not get affected. But the Marlins are going to go all in to try to beat the Mets. You can guarantee it. You can guarantee it. So that's going to be a fun series to pay attention to. The other fun series that'll be on the weekend that we'll be diving into is obviously in the American League. The Tigers are now clinging to a 1-game lead over the Astros. The Rangers are out. They're done. They have been elimination. It's the Astros, it's the Tigers fighting for the last 2 wildcard spots. Red Sox now have a 2-game lead on the Tigers and a 3-game lead on the Astros. I think they're probably safe. I want to say their magic number now is it's either 1 or 2, but they should be okay. They're just trying to keep, or are they? If you're a Red Sox, do you want the number 6 seed so you don't have to face the Yankees, or do you want to go into Yankee Stadium and let's get it on? That's what I'm pulling for. So nothing against the other teams, but I want the Red Sox to be the 5 seed and the Blue Jays to win the division, because I want Yankees Red Sox. Red Sox Blue Jays would be fine, but it's not. I want Yankees Red Sox that first round, and that would be a lot of fun to call. So there you have that in the American League and the National League, the wild cards. The scoreboard watching, you're looking at Cleveland, Detroit, Toronto, Yankees, Red Sox, Tigers, Astros. Everybody else irrelevant. Rangers are cooked and everybody below them. In the National League, you are concerned with, by the way, Brewers are going to get the number 1 seed, it looks like, and looks like the Phillies will get the 2 seed. So the winner of the West, which is probably going to be the Dodgers, they're going to have to play that first round. So they would play the Mets, Diamondbacks, or Reds. The Padres will go to the Cubs. You're paying attention to Red scores, Diamondback scores, and Mets scores this weekend. Padres not really relevant. Dodgers, they should win the division. They haven't officially punched their ticket on that, but where are they at here? They're up 3 games in the loss column, and each team only has a few games left, so they're done. That's what you're looking at, guys. If y'all got any more comments or questions, throw them in real quick as we wind this down. But when we go to the Sunday broadcast, we're only doing this on Sunday, so we're going to give you the full broadcast on Saturday. We thought about doing it, but we're just going to give you the Braves Pirates on Saturday. When you go to the Sunday broadcast, the Braves game is going to take precedent. But the difference will be, as opposed to going to commercials, we're going to go over and catch some of these other games and then bring you back to the Braves game. So for you Braves fans, don't sweat it. We're going to bring you the Braves broadcast. But as opposed to going to the commercial bumps and everything like that, that's why I'm coming on a little late, because it's going to tear my voice up. And I got to – it does a lot. I didn't realize it until yesterday, but different between calling games. I was supposed to be on from 7:15 till about 9:30. We went staying on till 10. So I went from saying, I'll do this for like 2 hours to almost 3. But the difference in inflection of your voices and calling home runs, it rips you apart. So we're going to come on about 4:15. It depends on where the games are. But what we're going to be paying attention to on Sunday, real quick before we get out of your hair, these are the games. So obviously the Braves game will take precedent. It's Chris Sale. I hope it gets to Charlie Morton. Man, that would be a really cool way to end the season. The other games, most of them, by the way, are starting at 3:05. The latest game is the 3:20 Cardinals-Cubs. That game's not going to mean anything. So the games we'll be paying attention to in all likelihood, it's only going to be games that matter. So if any of these move on, we don't care. But Tigers-Red Sox, that could be fun. We've got Yankees hosting the Orioles. That may or may not matter. The Rays are at the Blue Jays. That may or may not matter. The Astros are at the Angels. That may not matter. But you do have Reds at the Brewers. That's probably going to matter. Along with the Mets and Marlins, that's probably going to matter. And now that you get the big dumper, if you missed it last night, he hit home runs number 59 and 60. He is 2 away from the American League, and I will say the Major League record. Because anybody who stuck steroids in their behind does not get on the list. No one's ever hit more, honestly, than Aaron Judge in a season. And whatever you think about the Yankees, there's never been an indication that he's ever done it the wrong way. So he is tied with Babe Ruth now for 60. He's 1 behind Maris, and he's 2 behind Judge. And he could catch him. He plays the Rockies today, and then he's got the Dodgers all weekend. And the Dodgers are going to start putting bums in there because they're going to start trying to set up their pitching staff for Tuesday, because the Dodgers are going to play Tuesday. They're not going to play next weekend. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's in Seattle. What a cool sight that would be if he somehow gets to 63. Holy crap. And a catcher did it. A catcher. That's unheard of. And not for nothing, he's a Florida State Seminole. Huh? Huh? That's what I'm talking about. Appreciate the kind words, Justin, and everybody else. Richard, it was something that happened last week. If you haven't been aware of it, someone will put it in the chat, I would say. But a catcher, yeah, and yes, Justin, I forgot to mention that switch hitting catcher. So he's hitting more than any switch hitters ever hit. He's been predominantly a catcher. Yes, he DHs from time to time, but he's a catcher. He's not one of these guys that Drake Baldwin's probably going to turn into where he's a DH that happens to catch. No, he's a catcher that happens to DH. And he won the home run derby, which was a really cool scene because he had his brothers, his brother catching and his dad throwing. I mean, how cool of a family moment was that? This is a storybook kind of season. If he beats the home run record, the only thing that could top it is if he gets the Mariners their first AL pennant. But, yeah, so there you go. So we'll see you this weekend. If you missed what I was talking about, just rewind to the front on YouTube. If you're listening on external radio, go to Braves Country Radio on YouTube. It's youtube.com/@BravesCountry. We'll see you this weekend. Final ride of Wyatt Earp in his Immortals, but we will be bringing you pitch by pitch, play by play of the MLB postseason. That is my promise to you. We're going to do it all postseason. We probably won't do many weekend games, but we are going to bring you wall to wall Monday through Friday, and we'll play the weekend by ear. Some of it has to do with the fact that I have a lot of commitments in the radio world that I cannot get out of, nor do I want to get out of, but I can't be at two places at one time. And we tried doing the radio postseason last year without the Braves involved, and the weekends just they crater because everybody's watching football. Because like most baseball fans, you're a fan of your team, and you don't watch anything else. And you do watch other things, but you watch other sports. So that's usually what happens. But for you baseball purists, we are going to be here giving you, we're going to be doing some double headers next week. We're just waiting for the seeds to fall. Once we know the seeding, I'll give you all the show cards up as soon as I know the information. Probably be up by Monday at the very latest. If they announce it quick enough on Sunday, I'm going to do it Sunday night, but it may not be till Monday morning. Have a great one, y'all. I got to go rest my voice.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
It's closing time, y'all. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Have a great one. On your way out, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to tip your favorite bartender. We'll see you. I'm Mac McGee, signing off for Braves Country Radio.